fast life, the fast living. They see the ambition, they know I'm past driven. Look, we are not the same, this is not a game. I be swerving through the city in and out of lanes. Yeah, cause if I see it, then I want it, then you better know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are back here to discuss BMF. This is season 2, episode 2, and it was titled Family Business. Which, I mean, the family business seemed like it's falling apart from the jump.
Right. Family, period. It's falling apart.
Oh, hey, there you go. You know, you got an old head and a new head. And the new head is a hot head. And the old head, you know, he wants to do it his way. I don't know what's going to happen with this business. You know, the two of them got to come together and get this thing right. And I think.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we seen this coming last week from the previews where they were arguing about the chain. So, I mean, it's not like this came out of nowhere. This has always been their issue. Terry is trying to, you know, be young and fly. And Pop's like, no, you need to be professional. This is a Christian business. And so it's like they button heads. It's that generational thing.
Well, you know, Pops is right in the sense of how you have to dress, and you can't, and your customer is your boss. That is absolutely the case. And I think once that's kind of sank in with Terry, he kind of saw that, at least, you know, with the help of Lala, you know, or
Marquisha.
Mixing my shows. But, you know, even with her help.
I mean, that's her real name. That's her real name.
Yeah. So, you know, but even with her help, you know, he was able to listen to her, you know, with the candies and the refreshments or what have you. You know, but his dad did make a good point about you can't be kicking your customers.
Look, he didn't even kick. He threw him out.
Yeah, you can't.
He pulled him out the car, threw his stuff. Cars running over his luggage.
Absolutely, you can't do that. You can't. You just can't.
Well, he is the more abrasive brother. I mean, you know, you can tell, like, even when he works with, you know, in contact with the BMF family, he's abrasive with them, and Meech is the one with the smoother touch.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to y'all point about the business. Like, Pops is right about, you know, his appearance and the customer being right. However, I feel that Pops was overstepping too. Like
How do you mean?
You know, because he was making decisions without talking to Terry. At the end of the day, it was Terry's money that started the business.
Yeah.
So, like, him hiring a driver, it was a good idea.
Yeah, well.
But, you know, Terry was saying, let's talk about this before you make these moves. And the other thing that Terry was saying when he was talking about diversifying the portfolio and everything, and even going to the West Side and getting other customers, like, Pops didn't even want to hear it. Like, he wasn't even open-minded to hear Terry's ideas. So it was just like, I'm running a business this way. So it's like, he wants Terry to you know, adapt to his, you know, and listen to his ideas, but he's not listening to Terry's ideas.
Well, you know, as you know, Tiff and Tiara, you both know, when establishing a business, you got to have a business plan. You got to have a charter for the business. And apparently they didn't set that up because Pops just doesn't know where his position is. You know, so he's just sitting at home making these executive decisions while Terry is out there putting in the work. Because I haven't seen Pops drive a limo yet. Maybe he is. I haven't seen.
He's driving one of the cars because they had 3 cars.
3 of them,
yeah. So he's out there. He may out, but every time I see him, he's always, you know, at home trying to make decisions, which is fine, except to say that somebody's got to be the decision maker. Or if you both are doing it, then you got to sit down, like you said, have meetings and decide what's best. Because it was a cool idea to hire that white woman because she can go places and pick up people that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to pick up.
That was a good idea.
Yeah. Excellent.
But
he just didn't
agree with Pops though, in saying you can't just be driving people to the rough neighborhoods just because it's, you know, not a tapped in market.
But that was another good idea from Terry. So they both have, I mean, look at it this way. When you are Black and you're at an airport, particularly back in those days, and even in today's, you know, era, they don't want to go to Southeast DC. You know, a lot of places cabs and Uber drivers don't want to go rightfully so, because of the, problems that you have in those areas. But I thought it was an excellent idea to allow the company to drive back into those areas that other people wouldn't want to go. That is definitely
it is an untapped market, but it does also present a risk to your own well-being. So I see both sides of it.
Right.
But Terry was also making some moves on his own where he was trying to, unionize all the drivers, and he rubbed a few people the wrong way too, altering their flyers and whatnot, their brochures. So I was like, they both are doing things on their own and not really coming together to communicate and lay out a real business plan.
Well, Terry didn't want to be punked with that so-called guard, security. He wasn't trying to get punked. I agree with that. Paying this surtax when the airport isn't charging a surtax. There's just some idiot out there that wants to get paid. Yeah. I really like what he did. He told him to step off. I like that. But hey.
Terry got it bad this episode. I mean, he tried to do his best, but he was going unappreciated by everybody almost.
Yeah.
So, you talk about him driving, and he realizes that these checkpoints are set up all over the city. And, we know what Meech's plans were to drive those drugs to Ohio. He really did his best to warn Meech and to try to help him avoid the pitfall by driving it himself. But as soon as he gets the stuff to Meech, he's just straight up getting yelled at. Like, nobody told you to do this. Like, it was some real disrespect there.
Okay.
It was unappreciative.
But somebody explain to me why you would empty the baby formula and put in cocaine. Now,
because baby formula look like cocaine.
Yeah, but you bought it. But you got to know, okay, if you're going to do that, then buy 2 cans of baby formula and buy the one that you're going to use to transport your drugs. But he just, I assume
he probably had another. He probably had another can because when he took the baby,
but that can shouldn't go back into the bag where everything else is going. That can should have stayed with you somewhere in the car, because had they not been watching.
Oh,
yeah. That formula should have been taken out as soon as they hit Ohio.
Yes, ma'am.
Take it out as soon as they got in the house, but letting that bag sit and allowing mom to get into it, that baby could have definitely died.
Yeah.
Definitely would have.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so that was risky. Yeah, for sure. And I was just like, they're smart guys, but they do make some
things.
I mean, because they're still teenagers.
I was getting ready to say, just as Tiffany always say, they're still young. They're still young.
They're still kids.
Yep. And so, let's talk a little bit about this Ohio trip, because we kind of learned early on that they were going, and me just using this as an opportunity. He don't hang with the family like that. So when Terry found out that Meech was going, he's like, okay, what's up? Why are you going?
Right.
He's like, you can't even stand the cousin.
Right.
Right. And so the cousin, he actually is turning out to be a big part of Meech's new plan, because the cousin introduces him to the local dealers there in Ohio, and they kind of work out this deal where it's like, I'm going to let you test out the product. We'll see how you do, and you might be able to be a part of my organization. Little did Meech know, the local dealer, his name was Rel, he had some other plans.
Right.
He really tried to punk Meech.
Well, he tried to, and you know what? That's the likelihood. You don't walk into somebody else's territory and think you're gonna take over just on a bounce like that. You can't do that. I understood what Meech was trying to do, and frankly, I like his plan, but you dealing with a whole nother set of gangsters that you don't know anything about.
And before, we talked about this early in the episode, because Meech had already been shot at the beginning scene of the episode. He was with Canine, and somebody rose by shooting up the place, and he mentioned, I think it was like a voiceover, but it said, new territory, new enemies. So you should come to expect this as you're trying to expand into other cities.
Yeah.
I don't know why he wasn't expecting some pushback from Rel.
Because I think he presented it as an opportunity. Now, I agree. You can't just go in anybody's territory and plan to take over. But he presented it as an opportunity for you guys. I got the best. Da, 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 da. So I saw it more so as a pitch as opposed to coming in strong arming, like I'm taking over. So
he
that
was kind of strong arming though. He was like, y'all can be a part of my organization.
Exactly.
yeah, he did say that. He did say that, but he ain't come with like muscle and stuff. First of all, the dude Rail, I mean, he really tried it, and I was glad that Meech pulled up.
Meech pulled up the right way.
Your mama say.
Yeah, that was like classic. I mean, he pulls up at his mama's house, and what he did was let Rail know, look, you ain't messing with no, little punk. I got your mama now, and if I can get to her,
yeah,
you
shake.
Yeah, you could be touched. So don't play me. Don't play me like no idiot or no punk, because I've been in this game too long, and I know how to take you out. So that was an excellent move on Meech's part, or rather that counter move to counter what your boy was trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also thought it was smart how they were going to sell the drugs in Ohio, because Rail and his boys, some of them got busted, meeting up at the stash house. It's not that incognito. Like, people could figure that out, but doing it through the Blockbuster or wherever the cousin worked and putting it in the cassette tapes, like, that's a little less obvious, And I think it's probably, as long as they don't make it hot, it's easier to pass it, through a window, put it in the cassette, do what you got to do. Nobody knows
until you start dealing with those crackheads, and the crackheads mess that whole thing up. They don't bring the cassettes back. It's something that's left on the street, and police find it. Those a good idea, but I'm not sure if it's a everlasting kind of methodology that you want to use.
Right. I think it was in a cassette box. They probably weren't bringing real cassettes back.
But what to do with the cassettes? Because you can't just like Blockbuster. You don't just get empty cassette boxes. There's got to be something in it. So if you're taking the cassettes out to run, that's a problem. So
that's a problem.
Yeah, they're all kind of little problems they got to work out.
Yeah, it reminds me of the situation from Raising Canaan, where they would have to selling the mixtapes and the addicts throwing them in the alley.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know how long that's gonna last. It's a pretty decent idea to start off, but like I said, it's good as long as people don't make it hot.
Yeah.
And then we talk about like the situation with Canine, because there's this dude, as Meech is going to take him back the money that he's earned, he sees this guy. He's in there talking big trash. He's looking at K9's girl and some more stuff, and K9 really be playing it cool. Yeah. So you don't even know you on his radar yet. And and so Meech already gets to walk into the other room and see, like, oh, I caught up with Cinderella, and old boy that left his shoe, and look what I did to him. So in this preview for next week, it looks like he's telling Meech to go and find, this boy that was talking all the trash and bring him back alive. So I was like, okay, it's going to get crazy next week. And I'm thinking about Meech's association with K9. And we already said this last week that it was a terrible idea. But, K9 is the type that leads through aggression, and he's going to show you better than he can tell you. And, he really leads with fear. So, it's always that conversation of, is it better to be loved or to be feared? And in this case, like, a lot of people really fear K9, but how long is that going to stay? How long are your men going to stay loyal to you with that tactic before you end up being the target?
Well, I think there are two mistakes made, both from Canine and Meech. So, as you established with Meech, working with Canine may not be the greatest idea, but then again, Canine really doesn't know who Meech is either. So, and I think that Canine has kind of settled himself in on, I can control Meech, but you really can't. And he doesn't know Meech that way, so he needs to watch his six, because Meech can be on his back at any point in time. When Meech is ready to take that whole area over, Canine might have a problem.
Yeah.
He likes Meech. He respects Meech.
Yeah,
because he respects his hustle.
Yeah.
and everything, and knows that he's a go-getter and a top earner. And plus, Meech is real smooth.
No, exactly. And
He's
that's,
Yeah, he's very likable
Yeah.
and charismatic.
and that's a weakness because Meech understands that. If Meech says, if I can get you to like me, that's a weakness for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between he and Terry.
Okay.
Because Terry is a brain,
Yeah.
and you need him too.
Right.
But he is very abrasive, and he like rules with an iron fist with the crew. Whereas, Meech knows how to galvanize and get the crew together and get them all on one page and be a cheerleader. Terry's not about that. He's like, nope, you're gonna do it like this. This is my way.
That's why they ended up in that argument at the end of the episode, because Terry came up in there, demanding the guys give them the drug, and it causes all this confusion. They like, who do we answer to?
Right.
And so, Meech is like, no, you answer to me, and B Mickey is my number 2. So,
but a tangle web we weave with B Mickey on the scene. I'm telling you, that is not going to be. I mean, look, B Mickey has just sold his soul to both devils.
Yeah.
And I get it. You want your moms taken care of, and Detective Bryant did a solid by getting your mama in a better place. But boy, that can cost you more than you're willing to pay.
Yes.
He should know that that's a deal with the devil right there.
Straight up.
Because Detective Bryant has already said it a number of times. My favors don't come for free.
Yeah.
And so you already know, with him getting his mother moved into a nicer, upgraded facility, that's going to mean you don't have to drop a big nugget on Meech. And you've already dropped the ball once with this drop spot in Ohio. He wasn't even there.
Right.
So you dropped the ball already. Now I'm expecting something huge from you.
And not only that, I think Meech might be a little concerned with because, like he said, if there's an issue, give me a call.
Yep.
And of course, there's going to be points when he can't do that because of Detective Bryant. So this is going to happen again. And if it does, that might not play out too well for B Mickey.
If I'm B Mickey, I would tell Meech immediately what's going on with Bryant, because Meech already has history with Detective Bryant.
Exactly.
Right.
Like you said last week, Ron, he has his hands just as dirty as anybody else.
Exactly.
So, he is nobody to be out here trying to threaten people to arrest them and jail them when he is out here being a co-conspirator with the drug dealers.
All you got to do is record him taking the money bag that Meech has been giving him, every now and then. All you got to do is record that.
He stopped those payments last season.
Oh, start him again. Just give him another payment, just 1 or 2.
No, he's not cool with Meech anymore. Now that his partner got killed, he has Meech in his crosshairs. And I think with the Ohio thing, like, even though B Mickey gave him that drop, he said Meech was supposed to be there, I don't really think Meech was really going to be there. I think he gave what's it called, low hanging fruit.
Yeah, just enough to get him off his back.
Just enough to get off his back. Meech wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, but Detective Bryant is smarter than that. He took it because it was a good win for that day. But, another day is coming, and he's going to be looking for that big payoff, and that's going to be Meech. And at some point, you're going to have to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, so B Mickey, I mean, he got to say something. I'm waiting. I'm hoping he says something before he's in too deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm really thinking about the whole situation, because this whole episode was about family, and the family is going through a tumultuous time. And early in the episode, Lucille, before they even get ready to go to Ohio, she's going through Charles's things and finds the little nude magazines and is getting upset. So she decides she's gonna go ahead and treat herself and Nicole to some new bras and lingerie and whatnot. And mind you, opening the credit card in Nicole's name.
Wow.
So that causes a big argument with her and Charles, and they still cannot seem to get on the same page.
Look, Charles needs to get on Lucille, break her off some, and keep her in check. Love that woman. She's a fine sister. Love that woman. Keep her in check.
It's not like he's not trying to.
No. She had the negligee on, And I get she should not have opened an account in the child's name, all that.
Exactly.
But they could have talked about that after they
Right.
got busy. Like I was just like, Charles, I was watching myself. I was like, he about to ruin the moment. I knew it. I said, look at her. I said, she looks nice in her negligee and stuff. I said, watch Charles come in there and talk about the credit card.
Exactly.
And sure enough, he came in the room doing it. I knew he was going to do it. And I was like, see, this was so time to get some action.
Exactly. Break
You
her
talk
off.
about that later. He could have been like, tomorrow, babe, I see,
That could have been pillow, right? That could have been pillow talk after the fact.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Or hey, even better, bring it up tomorrow because she'd have been happy.
I was like, he just ruined the whole move.
I agree, and even when she said, and I mean, it was right in his face when she said, "I'm trying to look like those sisters that you be looking at in the magazines," and for me, that would have been a check. I would say, "Oh, baby, you looking fine. You look better than them sisters. Let's go and get busy for a minute." We're done.
Right.
It's all good.
I mean, I already said last episode that it had been like 3 weeks since he had given him some. So she's up here in the next day trying to serve it up, and you talking about a bill? Yeah. I mean, there's a time and place.
Yeah.
Hey, look, a meal is best served hot, and she was hot, and so you got to get on that meal.
Right. I was just like, Charles, for me, Charles is getting the hands this episode. Charles, I wanted to give Charles the hands this episode because I was annoyed about that, because I was like, okay, not cool to put the credit card in the kid's name. But part of the reason why she did it too was because she was going home to see her mom and family and everything. And
wanted to look nice.
She wanted to look nice, wanted Nicole to, so part of the reason why she did that was that. But that, and then because the situation with Terry too, even though Terry was not right with how he handled the customers, just him making solo decisions without Terry when that is supposed to be their business. That was another reason why I wanted to give him the hands.
But this just goes to show like how the whole family is in disarray. Like nobody's on the same page at all. And so it's just like all of the issues with the parents. First of all, it's starting from the top down, I think, because the parents are, disagreeing over money. And that makes the kids want to feel like they have to do something about it to support the family. Right. And so like the issue really starts at the top. Right. And, sometimes I really hear like a lot of people that grow up in like disadvantaged neighborhoods. Sometimes they be like, my parents hid it so well, we didn't even know as kids that we didn't have it.
Right.
But that's not the case with Lucille and Charles. It seems like it's a big argument with them all the time about them not having it. And even in their argument, you heard about how unappreciated each one feels and how one feels unwanted. And it's just like they've never really been on the same page, and it just trickles down to the kids.
Listen, finances can wreck a relationship. It can, and especially like with men and women, but especially women, because listen, they're Christians and everything, and how the Bible talks about the man being the head of the household and support. Like you want to feel like the husband is the provider and this and the other. Like she even said last episode about, when they went out to eat, when she was looking at other couples, she was like, I want to be happy like that. Like she wants to be able to enjoy life and not constantly struggling and not having to work at Wendy's.
And for me, if I were Charles, I'd have 2 jobs. If I had to get 2 jobs so that she ain't working at Wendy's, that'd be me.
Because too. He worked at GM and he got the car service.
But that car service right now, if he,
still.
Yeah, that car service
to himself.
They really got to sit down and do some self-evaluation on that car service because of the fact it's a good idea. I think they both brought up great ideas for the company, and they need to learn really to respect one another's opinions as it relates to that. Even though, like Terry, like we said earlier, Terry was a little upset because he walks home and Charles has already hired another driver. However, Terry, look at where you are and look at what he's done. He's hired not only a driver, he hired a white woman. So she's an older person. So your insurance is going to be low. She's white. She can take you to another place that you can't normally go. So it's all good in terms.
And I guarantee you by the end of it, that woman gonna be carrying some drugs across state lines.
Oh, you most definitely.
Knowingly or unknowingly.
Oh, most definitely. And you know what? She's in a position like she's a little, not doing too well financially, and you never know. She may be okay with that. So if it's going to help her financially, she might be okay with that. I don't know.
Let me tell you why I think you're right. Because in the preview for next week, it looks like Terry's tire gets slashed up a little bit, and Charles is blaming him, saying, "Oh, you back in the game or whatever." And the woman Denise, she's sitting up here like, "Oh, well, we need to get our revenge." What we doing? She seemed like she was down with it. We need to fight back.
Yeah,
she may be just that ride or die, and so you might get two birds with one stone with her. So, like I say, good idea. Hey, Pops, great idea. Thank you. But next time, let's just sit down and kind of chat about it, because I thought one way, you thought another, and your way does seem better. Same way with Pops. That driving situation coming back into the inner city, it's a risk. Yes, it does put a strain on the insurance because now you're driving into the inner city where most of the problems are. However, it's a cash cow because it's a niche that nobody else is doing, and any business is good when you got a cash cow.
Look, they gonna work out that limo situation. That became a big part of their organization and how they transported their drugs.
Exactly.
Remember, even before the show premiered, there was a documentary on Amazon with one of the drivers for BMF talking about how he had to go through a bunch of stuff transporting their drugs, cross country. So they definitely worked it out. And I don't know if you caught it last episode, but Terry was talking with this white chick outside of school, and he was like, "Oh yeah, her family got a business where they hook up cars and do all this custom stuff to it." And if you've seen that documentary, we know that they had all kind of hiding spots in them cars. So Terry gonna work it out whether Charles agrees or not. He gonna use that limo business for his benefit.
Okay. Well, Charles, get it, man. You gotta take care of that home. Take care of that lady first, Charles. Come on.
Yeah, I said he's on the hands list.
Well,
get your graphic ready, Ron.
Wait, you know what? We got to get a Bama's list, because right now Charles is on that Bama list for me. Hey, like you said, finances is the number one cause of divorce, and then sex. So when you got sex and finances going on, that's
no romance without finance.
No romance.
that will dry things up quick.
You know what? You can reverse that. Ain't no finance without romance, and ain't no romance without finance. Whichever one comes first.
Romance without finance.
Yep. And I guess the last thing we can touch on about this episode, we got a newcomer to the show, and Darnell Rawlings, who is a relative of Lamar. So after Lamar has strangled, the hospital worker and broken out of the hospital, Darnell Rawlings' character is there to pick him up. And so I'm like, okay, what these two got up their sleeve? And Lamar already had a little bit of comedic relief last season. He was kind of funny last season.
He was there in the season. Yeah, he was there in the season finale, Darnell Rawlings, because he had the the morgue and everything. I mean,
that's right.
Yes, he was the mortician. Mm-hmm. And so, but I'm saying with those two together, they got to have a good comic scene, and I'm hoping the next episode, because I want to know what Lamar's plan is. I don't understand why he felt like he had to strangle the doctor to escape, but
because he's a menace. He is unstable.
Yeah,
I'd say he don't always make the most sense.
Yeah, and I mean, you're out in the rain in your hospital gown, and you drop, and you're just lucky that what's his name?
Lamar.
His name is Alvin on the show.
Alvin, yeah, and Alvin pulls up just in the nick of time. I mean.
Because he needed help. He probably called him because you see, like now, he has a colostomy bag.
Yep.
Yeah. That means he was all messed up out there in that street. I don't know if I want him in my car, but hey, that's another thing,
Right. But they're
Right.
cousins. They're supposed to be family. They're
Yeah,
cousins.
yeah, but that colostomy bag can put a mess in your conversation.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I wonder where Lamar is going to go, because he is the quintessential hothead. He has no mental capacity to kind of rein it in, think about what he's going to do first. He reacts first. So
I think he's going to lay low at the morgue. Ain't nobody coming through there that can leave out and tell about where he at. So once you in there, you in there.
He's gonna heal.
Yeah.
He's gonna heal. And I think I said it in the first episode. He gonna come for Meech. He gonna come for them other dudes from the 12th Street boys that shot at him and stuff. So he's gonna be on his vengeance tip.
Yeah, and I think his cousin will help him get on the mend. He'll help give him the right things he needs to heal, and he'll be back up and at him in no time. So they got a whole bunch of different threats that they really are not even aware of yet. Yep. So we as the audience are a few steps ahead of Meech and Terry at this point in time. And it's going to be maybe unfortunate for Terry too, because some people don't even know that he's not in the game anymore. So he could catch a stray just like that, just being associated with Meech, who is still in the game.
Look, does Terry know he's not in the game? As Meech said, like he was like, pick a side, because you know what he did was, he did Meech a solid by taking the drugs there up to Ohio because BMF wasn't around, but he's still acting like he's trying to be in the game. And then coming in, giving orders and everything and stuff. So it's like, you either in or you out.
Right.
And so
he misses it.
Yeah, well, I think, and also, there's this thing between he and his dad, and I just don't, Terry just doesn't seem like he wants to be controlled. Certainly doesn't want his dad telling him what to do each step, the whole nine. And I think that's frustrating him. So in some ways, he wants to put one foot in the game and the other foot being legit, but it's not going to work. You, like you said, either 2 feet in or no feet. So you got to decide which one's more beneficial for you, and then just stick with it. But hey, that right there is that's the match that really is going to set that fire between he and his brother, because his brother's all in or not, and you're not or not, and that's what that fight was about.
Yeah,
right. The situation with the dad, like Ron said, is an issue for him. He's pushing him back, but also the situation with he and BMF, like he don't really rock with BMF like that. BMF is Meech's boy.
Yeah.
And the fact that BMF was MIA on the day that and he's supposed to be like me, is number 2.
He looking sketchy.
Yeah, he looking sketchy, and T wasn't really feeling him last season. He had concerns about BMF and stuff, and so he's like, he's shaky. He's supposed to be taking my spot, and I think he sees BMF as a liability, so he feels like I might have to come back and take my spot back.
I started to say the same thing. I think if anybody's going to find out about what BMF is all about, it's going to be T, because T's not going to like the fact that he's in that position in the first place, and he's always had a critical eye on BMF in the second place. So it's not going to bode well for BMF if T is anywhere around at this point in time.
Yeah, them streets is calling Terry, calling him back.
Yeah.
What I thought was funny though is how he was kind of chastising Meech, like, you about to have Mom and Nicole in the car with the drugs, and then what he turned around and do? His baby in the car with the drugs.
Yes.
Which is even worse. Yeah.
So I was like, Terry is something else. They both are, when pushed in a corner, they go back on their word all the time. I just thought it was funny how quick he did it. So I enjoyed this episode, though. You can tell that we're gearing up for a lot of drama, especially now that they have officially expanded into Ohio. I think that Rail might continue to still be a problem for him. You know, people don't take kindly to threats, especially to their mothers. So there's no guarantee that he won't continue to retaliate or try to mess the money up. Who knows? Especially now that two of his dudes then got locked up too. You know, it's kind of coincidence that, oh, how you all of a sudden come in town and two of my men getting jammed up. So you bringing heat our way. I don't think people are going to like that in Ohio.
No, but I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say, but I think that they're gonna make so much money and stuff that I think they're gonna chill because you know Meech made a lot of money and everything, and I think he got a lot of people to buy in because of all the money he was making. So I think he's been officially kind of
if they know what's good for him, they'll stay in line. Because if Canine got to come pay him a visit, it ain't gonna be nice.
I think if I were, Meech, I would have said to Canine, look, I need to borrow a couple of guys. Let me run up to this, uptown a little bit and shake up some trees because they smelling themselves, and I need to let them know, who's who.
That's not really Meech's style, though. He's
no, it's fine. I know he's a marketer. He's a marketer.
You're talking about bringing Canine?
Not bringing Canine, just a couple of boys. Because Canine would like. He wouldn't have had time.
And then it would look like he can't handle his business. He need to keep Canine in the background because he'll be looking at Meech like. Me and my son talked about that. He was like, "No, you bringing problems, like just like even with Power with Tommy. Like remember when Julio was saying he was like, "No, you're the distributor. Like don't bring me no problems."
I got that. But just like you were saying, Tiara, those boys up there. They don't respect him, and even after what he did to Rail, you don't come off that too easily. I don't see him just letting that go.
He'll be fine because he pulled up in his house with the gun.
Well, I hope so.
And his mom, he'll be fine, especially once they start turning a profit.
Yeah. Once that profit comes in, I guess all things can be forgiven, but. I don't know. You don't mess with a dude's mom.
No, you don't. But I don't think that dude. You see, that dude was talking like he was leaving the beaver around his mom.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that dude was really hard anyway. Like I think he's a certain way in the streets, but I think he was a punk anyway.
Yeah. And I think for his homeboys.
Yeah, he was put on for his homeboys, and I think Meech exposed that. He exposed that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be very dangerous because, people who are trying to make names.
They can. It's true.
Can be.
But Real, trust me, I don't think Real is.
One of them.
No, I think Real's a punk.
Yeah.
Real's a punk. He flexed for his boys. Okay. And by Meech pulling up, he took his heart.
Yeah. That's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen the rest of this season. I also thought the dynamic with Detective Bryant and Detective Jen is starting to, get better between those two because she actually took up for him this episode when his other officers was questioning his sources and stuff. She was like, no, don't. He got this. And so I was like, okay, I think he really is going to appreciate her standing up for him like that. I just don't know if she got some other motives, though. I still got my eye on her because I'm like, she's trying to suck up a little bit much, but they seem like they're going to be the dynamic tag team here with this whole investigation into Meech and whatnot. But she might get herself caught up being too zealous. We always see it in all the shows. There's always one that takes the fall for being overzealous.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So. He seemed to like her more than he liked his old partner.
That's for sure. Long as it ain't no cats and dogs up in that hot pot. So I enjoyed this episode. Looking forward to next week. You guys make sure you drop down in the comment section and let us know what you thought about this episode. Please also make sure you subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you get alerted every time we post. We are also on all social media platforms at The Spot Real Talk. So give us a follow. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all of the major platforms. And please also make sure that you stay tuned because you're not going to want to miss what we got coming up. Of course, we are doing BMF, but a lot of good shows are coming back. We got Godfather of Harlem coming up. We also have Your Honor coming up. And so we're going to have a lot on our hands with these recaps. So make sure that notification bell is checked off because you're not going to want to miss this. So stay tuned. You guys got anything else to add before we close out?
You said it.
All right. Well, on that note, we are going to call it a night and we'll be back next week for the recap for episode 3. So have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Peace.
Yeah, I gotta keep it trendy on my soul. I'm the most selfish person that I know. Here we go, down the rabbit hole. Got a couple carrots round my neck. Self-respect, when you out of line, you put yourself in check. They don't hear me, they don't hear me though. Cycles going round and round and round like the merry-go. Stand for truth, or fall for any old scenario. That's why I keep my circle smaller than a Cheerio. Cause it's the company you keep. Stay woke, please don't get caught sleep.